Hey everyone, my name is Brandon Thomas and welcome back to my Automation Journey series. In last week's video, we dug into what job templates and workflows are while also talking about how execution flows inside of AAP. Now within this week's video, we're going to be shifting gears a little bit as I'll be exploring how automation not only gets smarter, but more scalable when you're starting to think like a team. Specifically, I'll be talking about different things such as role-based access control, automation scheduling, inventory management, and how AAP supports team collaboration when you're not the only one building and deploying. So first up, I want to talk about what role-based access control is. Now, when I first started learning Ansible, it was just me, my terminal, and a playbook. But now that I'm actually inside of Ansible's automation platform, automation has essentially became a team sport almost. And with role-based access control, you can control exactly who's allowed to do what down to the individual job template. Now, you could have your administrators, your developers, network engineers, and security teams, for example, and each of them can have access tailored to the specific role based off whatever team they're part of. In a real-world environment, having this type of control can be very essential. Just imagine someone trying to test a playbook in a development environment, but instead they accidentally run it in production and disrupt critical systems. Role-based access control prevents that by letting you define exactly who can do what, and it creates clear boundaries so teams can move quickly and safely without stepping on each other's toes or making costly mistakes. Now, when roles are clearly defined, the next question becomes, how do we make sure automation happens at the right time, whether you're online or not? And this is where scheduling comes into the equation. In Ansible's automation platform, you can set up automation to run on a schedule, whether it's hourly updates, nightly configuration pushes, or a full playbook rollout every Friday at 5 p.m. The scheduling user interface lets you define not just when things run, but also who can schedule them and how frequently. It's the kind of feature that feels small until you realize how often just one more manual run turns into a human error. Scheduling brings consistency, especially when multiple teams are involved or you're automating across different environments. But what makes this truly collaborative isn't who can run the jobs or when, it's how you actually work together behind the scenes. Something that stood out to me as I kept learning was just how much automation isn't really a solo act. And it's not just about writing YAML in isolation, it's about building systems that multiple people, even entire teams, can rely on. And this is where team collaboration in AAP really comes into play. One of the key ways teams collaborate is through version control. Platforms like GitHub or GitLab give you a shared space to store, review, and update playbooks and roles. You're not copying and pasting scripts in Slack or emailing zip files around. You're working from a single source of truth. It overall helps avoid duplication, makes peer reviews easier, and allows teams to move fast without stepping on each other's toes. And when you combine that with role-based access control and job scheduling in AAP, collaboration scales even further. You've got the structure to define who can run or edit jobs and when they run, making sure your automation fits into team workflows, not against it. So even though team collaboration isn't necessarily just one feature, AAP really gives you the building blocks from things such as version control, access control, to scheduling, all working together to help teams automate confidently and efficiently. Now, of course, all this falls apart if you don't know what you're automating against, and that's where inventory comes into the picture. Inventory is how Ansible knows what to automate, which happens to be your list of target systems. But when you're dealing with dozens, hundreds, and even thousands of different hosts, just having a list isn't going to be enough. This is why inventory management remains crucial. You've got static inventories where hosts are manually defined and can be great for small predictable environments. But as things grow, dynamic inventory becomes key. AAP can pull from cloud providers like AWS or Azure and automatically keep things updated so your automation reflects what's actually running. You can also organize hosts into groups, assign variables at the group or host level, and manage credentials, which lets you create playbooks that adapt based on the systems they're targeting. So while inventory might just seem like a regular list, inventory management is about control, structure, and flexibility, and that's what makes AAP scalable across real-world environments. So when you bring this all together, you start to see how automation inside AAP is not just only powerful, but sustainable and scalable. And at this point, you're not just running playbooks. You're building repeatable, secure systems that teams can depend on. And for someone like me who's new to automation, seeing how all these pieces fit together have really made the big picture click over these last couple of weeks. And it can be easy to think that automation is just writing a script and hitting run. But inside Ansible's automation platform, it shows you what it takes to make automation actually work across teams, environments, and the infrastructure itself. Thank you guys for sticking with me this week. In next week's video, I'll be taking it even further as I'll be diving into the automation controller and how Ansible's automation scales at an enterprise level. So thank you guys for listening, and I'll see y'all next week.